Hey guys, Alex for Corporal Gaming here, and today I am doing a tutorial video. Some of you guys have requested to know how Dxtory is set up and whatnot and hoo-ha, so I decided I'll try and help. Let me just empty my recycling bin. Alright, so some of you may or may not have already pre-installed and set up Dxtory, but don't know the best settings. If you guys are wondering, I am recording using open broadcast software, and it's currently just sitting back on my second monitor. Right, so let's load up Dxtory. Right, so if you haven't messed around with it and you've only just installed it, it should be on the default profile. Everything, nothing else there, just default, and the settings will be on default also. So that'll be empty and stuff. Right, so first things first is the target. That's happened 4 times already. So the target page. Now there's not really much I can go about with this, but it'll basically show you what it's hooked to, so what it can record. If I give you an example, I'm recording to this folder currently using open broadcast software, so that's why that's there. So for example, if I load up Media Player Classic, you can see that it's hooked to it and it can attempt to record. So if I just pressed my record button, I would be re-recording over this. So if I don't want it actually recording this, like if I'm just previewing a file, that can be very annoying, just that there. So what I'll do is go here. It basically tells you where it is, what it's doing, saying that it's hooked. Now what I can do is see the path area. I can go over that, copy it, go to ignore setting, and then paste it in there. Or you can just go to here, scroll down, find it, and then add to ignore list, like so. And then if I close that, bring Dxtory back up, and run that again, it won't show. So if there's something that you don't want recorded, it'll just be there. If I just add that to ignore list again, and it'll disappear from there. Alright, so the next one, the overlay. This is basically where it'll show the numbers like I showed you on the video file. Now, normal colors, I believe it's green and yellow, like that. So green for non-recording and yellow for recording. Because I've come from Fraps, I am used to yellow non-recording, green, red when recording. So I've set it up like that. You'll want all of these ticked. Can't speak. This one shows the video FPS when playing randomly. That one will show you the FPS for the writing file. So this one was a solid 30 frames when recording to it, and the recording status saying whether it's recording or not. So it'll come up with that. I don't quite know what these are, but I've left them unticked because of that. Onto the folder. If you run one or more hard drives like me, currently using 2, you can record to each different hard drive. If you're, let's say, recording Assassin's Creed Black Flag and I wanted to record to one hard drive, I'd just untick one of them. But default I record to this other hard drive here. You just go to the add folder and then find the hard drive under the computer, so local disk, or I can record to my other one there. So next, after setting up which folder you're recording to, you'll want to run a benchmark like that, or like this. Now, one thing I made a mistake on is I put this down without putting it back up. You want it onto 1000 megabytes, which is 1 gig I believe, when benchmarking. It will give you a very accurate result of how quick your hard drive is. You want over 80 megabytes a second for optimal recording. You can always just bump it up even more and see how it handles then. Like, my results are going better-ish. Staying at solid 51 megabytes. And with that benchmark there, it'll basically, you know, just keep that in mind. Sorry about the screaming in the background. If you can hear it, it's the TV. I can bump these up and down if I want to, but I like to have it in an orderly fashion, like so. On the next one, the hotkeys, here you can set up the buttons you press when recording and other stuff, as showed here. Now, my stop and start capture button is pause, break. You'll see that above page up on most keyboards, I believe. I think default it's on either F9, F11 or F12, I can't quite remember. But I used to set it on F9 due to me coming from Fraps, but most games had conflicts with that, so I changed it to pause break. Push to talk, this is where, let's say, I wanted to talk at a certain time and I wanted it to pick that up, I'd have to press a button for it to pick up. I don't usually do that, so I just press the X button to leave it blank, but if you want to, you can assign it to whatever. This is the screenshot, so like a screen print of the game. I set it to F11 as normal. I believe that's the default actually. You can also do high speed where it'll take multiple in quick succession. Auto repeat, so you just press that and I believe it'll just carry on. Toggle overlay status position. I don't quite know what that is. I believe that's a newer one actually, but I think that's where it'll say whether it will show whether an overlay will be on. I'll explain that in the next tab. This one basically allows you to hide the thing that will come in the top corner, the FPS speed in the top corner, and this one you can show whether it's going to be taking screenshots, because it tends to come up with like a little flash at the top. On the next movie tab, yeah, it's movie, should say, wow, that's brutal, should say, you know, just like video for normal. Now, usually this will be set to default like this, I believe. Yeah, so normally it'll be set to this by default. Now, I don't use Dxtory's video codec since it wasn't very good, for me anyway. I had a limited spaced hard drive and this just numbed up. Now, if you don't want to download any other codecs, you can use Dxtory's own codec. The settings I would say would be medium and compress. That way it'll be smaller. For the format, if you want true quality so it comes out as you see on screen, that'll slow down your system considerably. Putting it down to medium quality won't change it by much. It will be basically the same color-wise. Low quality, it will be really suckish. You can put it to high quality just to make it smaller, but I would recommend getting excuse me, Lagros lossless codec. I'll put a link in the description for you to download this. What this does is compresses the video files considerably. I believe, let's say, if I use this as an example, this was 152 megabytes for, how long was it? For an 8-second video. I'm pretty sure if I did that with the Dxtory's lossless codec or Fraps, it would reach up to a gig or two at least. So that's a huge compression. Now, for the options, as you saw me click this button here, you can do brilliant quality, quality which comes on the monitor, or lower, so low quality, medium quality, high quality, true. I have it on medium quality because the colour difference isn't too great, and it still, keeps it very nice. I usually have multi-threading on by default. That'll say it'll use that normally, but I don't want that. Null frames, I believe that's, as it just comes up there, when a frame is identical to another frame, it'll merge them together, which can make the video files smaller, but it can cause skips with most programs and mess it up, so I leave that off. And prevent upscaling, when upsampling when decoding. This will force the codec to decode video as the same color space is stored as internally. I think that's so it doesn't give it better color quality when it's encoding or whatever. So it'll, just keep it nice. Keep it just like this. It's less hassle. Right, you can't mess around with these because this is how it runs. Frame rate, I have that on 30 FPS. You can set it to this since YouTube picks up this frame rate very well, but I have it on 30 because it's a more well-rounded number. You can also set it to 10 FPS, 20, 120 if you wanted, but that would require multiple hard drives and or an SSD. If I was recording from an SSD, playing a game on a different hard drive and recording to a different hard drive completely, then I could possibly do 120, but I am only playing on HDD or a hard drive disk, there you go, got it out eventually, and recording to an even better hard drive disk. Now, output, you'll want it on file, unless you're live streaming, then you can set it to that. When I live stream, live stream the format raw cap. Since it's smaller, it doesn't have to send half as much out, meaning my internet is greatly improved when streaming, but I haven't streamed in a while. You can stream and record at the same time, excuse me, but I never tend to do that. Raw cap, I forgot to explain. I'll show you here. It'll record a very, very small video file which can only be picked up by the raw cap converter. You can add certain things, you can play it, and then you can check the thumbnail settings. See if I want it to be in the same folder as the source files. That should be there by default. When it's finished, the computer will be shut down. The source files, like the regular .rawcap files, will be deleted afterwards. Blah blah blah. Build all of the files, build a single selected one, refresh it all. That's basically it, really, for that. But I tend to record only to API since most editors, such as the one that I'm using, Premiere Pro, can pick it up very well. Clipping, you don't really want to do too much with this unless you want your video to be like half as small, so I can, like, say if there was the outside ring as just all black, I could clip it all from there, but I don't really want to do that. Margin is the same thing, you can add that box if you wanted, but then again, no one wants to do that. Options, I include the mouse cursor, include overlay, that allows you to, let's say, a watermark here and a blue box down here, which is transparent, so you can still see underneath it. That would be like an overlay. The watermark saying Core Gaming or whatever your name is, and that'll just include the picture of that over the top of what you're recording. Synchronous Video Fps, that'll basically, let's say if I'm recording 30 FPS, it will link the video FPS at that current time to what it's recording. So if I wanted it to be 100 FPS video and play at 100 FPS, 120 even, it'll do that at the same, but I tend to leave that off. If you've got a lower end graphics card, you can always link it, and you may at times get better performance. I know that when I was recording with my very old graphics card, it gave me a lot bigger performance boost when having that on. Scaling, my monitor is to 1920 by 1080, so you can record the full 1080p video if you have that onto 100. I don't think you can upscale it. Oh, you can actually. Oh no, it's invalid. You can downscale it by half, whatever. I tend to go to the size and preset it to 720p. So that's 1280 by 720. Since I encode to a 720p video, there's no point in recording a 1080p video and then encoding it down. That can cause just a couple of minor problems with the video when it comes out. Plus, it means that the video files are smaller when recording like this. On the next, the audio. Now, here is one which I'd have to demonstrate again. Load up this file if it wants to. There we go. Now, Dxtory will come pre-installing an audio stream extractor. So if I just right click on that, extract audio stream, it'll extract two audio files. One will be my mic, which is this one, which is also shown within the video itself here. If I just close that, and then the other one will be in-game sound, like that. I just close that. So the first one is my microphone. As I said, it will appear in the 0 file, st0, and it will be on the video, while the second there will be on st1. You can set up a lot more. Let's say if I wanted to record that one as well, but since I use only my headset and I don't actually have any speakers, it's little use recording that as well. Plus it just increases the video file size, having them more. So I want it to record to sound. I don't want to push to talk, so I have that off, so there's no point in setting that either. The first one I tend to have microphones, so I know that my microphone's worked, and the second one is usually speakers, since they're always going to work if I can hear it. The audio codec, I think it's best to just leave at PCM, and just leave that by default. You can obviously bump it up to 32-bit stereo, but it's best to just leave it like this, since you'd have to be have very skilled ears to hear that. That's almost like studio quality. On the next tab, screenshots, I tend to just set it to PNG and then percentage 100. I don't tend to take too many screen prints, so you can just set it like that and it'll come out nice. You can set it to JPEG, and I think by default it'll be 95. So I'd just bump that to 100. On the advanced tab, you don't want to fiddle around with this too much, since most of it is kind of useless unless you've got problems. Here I can just delay the hook. Say if there's like an overlay, I can just do that and it'll work. Permanent hook, this will just keep it within the file, hook it into the file to allow me to constantly record. It can stop many problems. If you've got multiple graphics cards and they're SLI'd or crossfired, you can just use this and that'll stop problems which it can cause. Usually it'll try and record from both but separately, which will conflict. You can force CPU processing if you've got a lower end graphics card, or if it's a very high GPU intensive game, let's say Skyrim, you can just do that and it will record using the CPU instead of the graphics card. And processing threads, if you've got, let's say, a 4-core AMD, you can set it to that, the 4th core, or if you're like me, using an Intel CPU. It's got 2 cores but 4 logical processors within the cores, so it's got 2 extra processors per cores. And I set that to 4 on everything, since I don't tend to have any problems. If you have problems, you can always just bump it down. Oops. To 2, I would say, is the lowest one I would ever go to. 3 is usually the one I tend to go to if I have problems, but it's always 4. I remember when I was first recording Battlefield 4, when it was in beta, I had to put that down to 3, but then I had to bump it back down to 2 since it was having a little bit of problems. On the force FPS video limit, you can basically just set up a VSync. You can like bump it up or down. I don't tend to have it on. On this one, the settings, global settings, yeah. Check update. It'll come up with like a little icon here if you got an out of date version. This one will just increase the size of this if you have a problem like seeing it or anything. I tend to just keep it small because it's a bit cleaner. And on the last page, it just basically says whether you've got a registered file or not, which I do. I brought it with my own money, and I'm glad that I did. Here it'll basically give you PC specs if you run into like problems with recording anything. You basically just put that in the forum post along with the error it comes in the log. This one also generates stuff that are going on. You can recycle and whatnot. And that's about it for the video. Thank you guys for watching. If you found this useful, please leave a like, comment and share to your friends so that they can record and do good stuff. And see you guys later.